What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another chance encounter. Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. We're seeing more properties like this being built in front of a house that's going to be torn down soon. I understand that there are power lines that are getting kind of close. What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg, and that there is a commercial real estate building. I'm joined today with Elsa, and I know that's a Vietnamese last name, and I think it's pronounced Nguyen or something like that. But Elsa, how are you doing today?
Good, good. Thank you so much, Dan. We say it Nguyen, but
Nguyen,
I'm
Nguyen.
pretty good at Fusion Yen, so
Right, right.
whatever,
The only
whatever.
Vietnamese I know is yo, yo, right,
Oh,
right.
yo,
Yeah, yeah, that's the only I know. But that's not why you're here today. You're here because this is a chance encounter where I interview commercial real estate syndicators, operators, buyers, sellers, all that kind of fun stuff. And why do I do that? Well, part of it is because it's the law. For compliance reasons, you need to have a prior substantive relationship if you're going to be involving people with their private deals. So I need to make sure that my guest knows my level of sophistication, appetite for risk, and all that kind of stuff. And that's why I made this show. But before we get too excited about that, Elsa, do you want to introduce yourself to the audience a little bit?
thank you so much, Dan. Yes, first of all, I want to thank you for the time to be here on your show today. Very, very much appreciate that. My name is Elsa Nguyen, and I am an immigrant to the US at the age of 13. I am 45 right now, so I've lived here for over 30 years. I started out in accounting, and shortly, about 15 years or so into it, I decided that I didn't like accounting. So I went into real estate and started out as a real estate agent, and that wasn't fulfilling as well. So I thought, you know what? I wanna be a developer. So I forced myself into my first deal as an LP, and shortly after that, I became a GP for a land development deal right here in my backyard, San Jose. We bought a piece of land. Our intention was to get it entitled, approved to build a hotel on it,
Mhm.
and that was the start of my syndication 506B or 506C career. And that was in 2019, 2022. Right now, I only did one hospitality deal. That was that land development and switch over to apartment syndication. Um, because it's just one way for me to mitigate risk for our investors, knowing that I have a paycheck coming in every month versus waiting for 2 years to get approved for a piece of land before I can return capital and interest to our investors. So,
Mhm.
long story short, I am a full-time multifamily syndicator right now.
Beautiful, beautiful. And sometimes we have some newbies on here, but the first thing that I like to ask about is the five distinct motivations. But before I get to that, I gotta say, but wait, check your eight. Now, Elsa, I don't know if you can see through your camera into the audience's device and see under here to see if they have the red subscribe button or the gray one, but they really should have the gray one. Okay, that's just a joke. But anyways, distinct motivations. I find there's five different reasons why syndicators and people in general will go through the effort to make a new commercial acquisition, and I go through all five of them in every episode of this. So the first reason I found some people want to make these new acquisitions is if they already have a portfolio and they rely on the cash flow that comes from that ownership to make ends meet, they're going to periodically make more acquisitions to stave off inflation, because the idea is it's just like monopoly. You don't want to be selling your properties. You want to have a nice portfolio and maintain it. But this reason here, that's not what I'm up to. What I'm up to is I'm trading time directly for deployed equity or capital. And my background is in technology. I've owned a CRM agency since 2011, and I've helped my clients make almost $100 million in revenue with the setups that I've done. And one of the problems that's going to pop up if you are in that kind of situation, being a high wage, high salary earner, is you're going to be paying more in tax than anybody else. So when I realized how all this stuff works, I figured, well, how do I pivot so that I'm getting rewarded in deployed equity, and so I can skip that income step? So that's what I'm up to. But a lot of people come to commercial real estate because they're trying to take control of their schedule. They're trying to fast track retirement, or at least open the door for it. And basically it means that they want to work fewer months per year or fewer weeks per month or something like that. They're looking to work less in the long term. That's not what I'm up to particularly. But the interesting thing is the next group. They're so ambitious. They want to buy their entire hometown. They're really looking for that generational wealth to make sure that their great grandchildren never have to hold a day job. So they're going to be hustling into their 90s. These guys are really, really great. And the next group, they're also going to be hustling until they're seniors, but they're going to be doing it for a different reason. Some people pick a sector of society, or maybe it's animals or the environment, or they want to send people to the moon or something. But if you want to make a big impact on society, you have to have a substantial financial backing. And so some people are making these commercial acquisitions for that reason. So Elsa, of those 5 different motivations, what combination of those really describes you best?
Um, I'd probably go with the last one,
Mm-hmm.
help people who need it. And yes, as much as I would like to buy the entire town, that's not my intention. And I do not want to work into my 90. But I believe my philosophy is that help people and help ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do to others what we want other people to do to us. And I look at every deal that I do, I look at it, how does it benefit other people? Because if it help other people, it help my investor, it help the town, then it will also, in one way or the other, it will come back to me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. And that brings me to my next question, which I always find this one's really fun. It's the tolerance for risk assessment. And it's a fill in the blank question. There are many popular investment asset classes, but I think blank is too risky. What's too risky for you, Elsa?
As of now, I think the riskiest asset class as far as in real estate probably be the office space.
Mm-hmm,
And the pandemic, with the pandemic has created a different work at home scenario for a lot of people, and that forced a lot of office space into vacancy. It was a hot market, real asset class before, but I live right here in Silicon Valley,
mm-hmm,
and I've never seen the freeway empty. We easily sit 2 hours in traffic when we go to work or go home, but that has been dramatically decreased.
mm-hmm,
So with that being said, I know office space, there are many, many vacant office space out there still. People are slowly going back to work, but they are creating a new work schedule for themselves. Instead of going back 5 days, they go back maybe a couple days a week. So I think there is a migration of people actually converting office space to apartments because there is a need for apartment. So in my opinion, I think investing in office space, there are a lot of risks right now.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. So let's get on to what Elsa actually does in the big scheme of things. And the way that I do that in Chance Encounters is I pull out the dandoesdeals.com commercial competency cube. You can try and say that a few times fast. It's a little bit tricky. But you can go to dandoesdeals.com and get your own copy and print it out. It's absolutely free. I don't even ask for your email address, which is the dumbest idea in the history of marketing. You should always ask for contact information. But the reason why I don't do that is because I actually want you to print this out and share it with your friends, show your family, all that kind of stuff. And the main motivation for me is I know that your success in this industry depends on your ability to express yourself confidently and effectively on the subject of commercial real estate. So in every single episode of Chance Encounters, I go through all 6 sides of the die, and then that way you, even if you're a beginner, you get to know how my guest fits into these deals. So first, let's talk about repositioners. If my light ever decides to stop glaring and adjusting, and I just do this and that'll work as well. The repositioner is a person who looks at a lot of different properties. They do a bunch of different paperwork, and what are they doing with that paperwork? Well, I'll turn the light on and off to do this. This is the weirdest thing ever. What they're doing, there's a fancy word for it. It's called underwriting. It means they're doing the math. So they are acquisitions people. They're talking to brokers and sellers. And the first thing they're going to need to find out is this property actually making the amount of money that the seller claims it is? And then on top of that, I call them repositioners because they're thinking about, how do I change this property to find more upside? And there are 3 main tools in the repositioner's tool belt to pull that off. The first one is to get more advantageous lending from their financiers and banks, okay? Financiers are people who only deal with paper and money. They're not involved in the operations whatsoever. But let's just assume that the repositioner doesn't have that available. So the first place that they're going to look is the operations. They're going to get those Benjamins. They're going to stop them from going down the toilet. But of course, there's more to operations than just unclogging toilets and collecting rents and mowing lawns and all that kind of fun stuff. For me, my background is in marketing and technology, so keeping the vacancy rate is going to be really low is going to be really important. And then operations, just automating a bunch of things to make sure that we're not working more than we have to. Those are the operations pieces where you can find some extra upside. But most of the time, this industry is too competitive, or you wouldn't be able to raise enough where that's going to make enough upside. So often they'll do a value add by getting a contractor team involved. And one of the problems of having a contractor team involved for some repositioners is, what if they're like me? See, I don't know if you know this, but I'm from the internet. So that means I definitely need a local. I need somebody who lives nearby, who can be there in an hour or so, because in an hour I'd still be at the airport. So that's not going to be me. But when the repositioner turns around to the financier and says, hey, here's my team, here's the property, all this kind of stuff, and the property's worth tens of millions of dollars, they turn around to the financier and say, hey, you don't happen to have, say, tens of millions of dollars you want to lend me for this, do you? Well, the financier is going to have one more question on their mind, which is, who is your KP sponsor? Who's the sponsor? And what that's all about, and I warn you that, a lot of coaching programs, they kind of gloss over this piece. But if you want to be eligible for a commercial loan, somebody in the fold has to already own a similar asset. So even if you're Elon Musk, if you want to get a loan, somebody in the fold is going to have a similar asset. On top of that, you need a certain amount of liquidity, and then you need a balance sheet of at least the amount of the loan among the GP team. But if you have all of those pieces, you've got yourself a commercial real estate deal. So Elsa, it sounds like you've got a repositioner roles in there, possibly like sponsor KP. Everybody has some sort of financier duties dealing with investors and whatnot. But what are your core competencies that you're most likely to contribute to your next deal?
Very good question, Dan. I would probably land anywhere between the underwriting and sponsor KP piece. I usually focus on the acquisition, and like you, it takes me an hour to get to the airport. So that operation piece is definitely not me. I find a local handyman to handle that. We do have asset managers for every deal that we do, and that will be, on you entirely. So I focus on the fun part, the brokers relation, the negotiation for the deal, underwriting, talking to the lenders, get us the best rate. So that's I do the fun piece.
All right, perfect. Yeah, that's great. So the next question I have then, it has to do with the buy box. So when commercial investors are talking to each other, we say, what's your buy box? What's your ideal property? They were really asking about 3 main things. First one's geography. Which states? which counties, which neighborhoods. Okay, that absolutely matters. Second thing is going to be the size of the deal. We're talking about multifamily here, which we use unit count to figure out the size of the deal. And the fact is, people who are taking down 15 unit apartment complexes, they're not the same teams as ones who are taking down 500 unit apartment complexes and portfolios. So it's very important to know the size. The third thing, though, is called class. And unfortunately, they use the same word for two different things, but here's what they are. The first one, it has to do with the condition of the building. So is it old or is it new? Is it beat up? Is it no frills, or is it fantastic and lavish with all the amenities? Okay, that's the first meaning of class. The second meaning of class, though, has to do with the neighborhood where the property is located. So are the school districts really good? What's the crime rate like? That's the other meaning of class. But both of those two use the same system as in grade school to rate them, like A plus, A minus, B plus, and so on. But Elsa, as far as properties where it's easier to say yes to and it's more difficult to say no to, what are you guys looking for?
Probably, you give such a good illustration. C, C minus properties, preferably in B or B minus neighborhood is what I'm usually, that would be my sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
buy properties in California market, I like to stick to a $20 here would probably cost me as much money as $100 in somewhere else, one of the maybe Texas or Arizona. So it really depends on the location. But yes, I love C properties, C minus properties where there are value add components to it that I could increase the renovate it and increase the rent to market rent and help people have a better place to live.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Beautiful, beautiful. So we got the geography, we got the unit count, and we've got the class. So that's fantastic. So the next question then has to do with people. And one of my favorite things about commercial real estate is that because each person has their own unique skill set, we're all so eager to help each other out and build more teams. But that said, we're still better suited to help some people more than others. And because of my marketing and CRM background, the KP sponsors, if I get the light one more time, the KP sponsors are the people who I'm disproportionately well suited to help just because they've already got a foundation set up where I can make a big difference. Whereas when you're first getting started, you need grunts. You need people who can put in like 80, 120 hours a week and something like that to build your business big time. But Elsa, for you, who are you best suited to help? And don't, if you have any 506B deals going on, don't entice any investors because the SEC hates that. So who are you best suited to help?
Um, I just want to ask a clarifying question. You're asking about the investors, right? The
Just
multiple investors.
anybody, yeah, anybody out there. So some people are looking for more operators. Some people want to get people started when they're just beginning. But just which of these roles do you find that if you meet somebody else, you're like, oh goody, I got one of those. So who are you looking to help? If you do want to mention specifically investors, you can. It's just a matter of like if you have a 506B deal going on right now, some securities attorneys that are really conservative, they think that that's a bad idea.
Oh, understood. Yeah, they don't even let you say the word security on the internet. So I
Right,
guess.
right, right.
But that's a very good question, Dan. I think ideally I would like to work with those people who have, excuse me. So if someone were to fire a deal, a good value add deal, but they don't know how to take it down themselves. So
Hmm.
that when I would come in and I would probably help them re-underwrite the deal if they need to,
Hmm.
and then see if I could either help them either raise capital or if it's a fire succeed, um, or if I could help them just to be the sponsor KP. I am open for that role as well.
Okay, great. So repositioners are the best people to reach out. And so, and as far as the best way to catch you, we met through LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is a fantastic way to meet me. I got the distinctive last name, so I'm super duper easy to find. But is LinkedIn the best way to reach out to you, or is there a website that's better, or something like that?
I am super, super active on LinkedIn, probably more active on LinkedIn than any other social platform. So yes, just LinkedIn is the best place to find me.
All right, great. And then the only thing that I have left, it's actually not for you, it's for you in the audience. It's sort of like a public service announcement thing, which is if you've been watching this episode and you've been noticing like migraine like symptoms, like searing in your eyeballs, it's probably because there's a big ugly red button under my left hand that says subscribe. It's real, like don't look too close. It's really, really ugly. And if you have any young people around, then you really, really should hit the button because like they'll like walk by, they'll see it on your computer, they'll be just embarrassed for you. So you really want to hit that, and it costs nothing at all. The reason why I want you to do it though is because it means that YouTube might actually start paying for these videos instead of me, which I think would be really amazing. And as far as you're concerned, all it actually does is it means my videos might show up on your list of suggestions. But you can go ahead and ignore those. I just appreciate the fact that you spent this time with me. Just like Elsa, I appreciate that you joined me today. This has been great getting to know you a little bit better.
Absolutely. A day before Thanksgiving couldn't get better than this.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
much, Dan.
Thanks. Make sure you 506B me. Any syndicators, make sure you 506B me.
Hi.
Oh, hey, yeah, here's my code. You got your QR code scanner? Okay, yeah, oh yeah, just hold it right in the square there. Okay, cool. And now you hit open in browser.
Okay.
Okay. Are you already logged into 506B me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so there's my video. So now I'm already on your watch list. So when you get back to your hotel, you can find out what my core competencies are and my level of sophistication. Sound good?
Yeah.
I love your hat. Real estate's a scam. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
You too.
506B me, everybody.